Hello there, welcome back to another episode of Anything with Alvin, where today we're going to be attempting to create the famous spicy vodka rigatoni from Carbone, a very well-known restaurant here in New York City. A lot of people visit this restaurant for this signature dish, so I thought it'd be fun to try and recreate what it might be like and to investigate why this dish is so good. Now, the cool thing is that because this dish is so popular, Carbone actually themselves have launched their own jarred sauce, a spicy vodka sauce where all you have to do is add a few ingredients and you can hopefully replicate the taste of this at home. This one's gonna be fun, so let's go ahead and get started.
I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this episode and supporting the BCU from the very beginning. I'm excited to announce my new website, babi.sh, or as I like to call it, babby.sh. The ultimate destination for all things BCU. There's all the recipes from my videos, exclusive new recipes. You can search by genre or ingredient. You can even toggle between US and metric and scale the serving size. We heard your feedback about everything you wanted from the site, so that's what we did. You can get 10% off your first Squarespace order by visiting squarespace.com/babish.
So one fun fact is that this particular jarred sauce, the Carbone sauce, ranked pretty high in Andrew's video where he taste tested a lot of different jarred pasta sauces, so I think that's a really good sign. On the jar, it gives you a little description of the restaurant and also the ingredients list. All things that seem pretty cool to me. No preservatives, just good stuff. So we're gonna be using that as kind of a reference for what we should be using in our version of the sauce. Now, keep in mind that this jarred version tells you to add cream at home, so we're going to be adding cream into our sauce as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to take one large onion, I'm going to grate that and chop up some garlic. In a large Dutch oven over medium heat, I'm adding in the onion and the garlic and about a tablespoon of olive oil, maybe a little bit more as it's going to stick a little bit. This is going to get cooked until they're starting to brown, and then we're going to add our tomato paste for like a whole tube, 4.5 ounces. Throw that in, let that deglaze a little bit, and caramelize and start to get a nice color throughout. So we found a Calabrian chili that was already pickled in a jar that seemed pretty good quality, so throw that in about a tablespoon to give it a nice kick or so. Once it's a nice dark red brick color, we're going to carefully add some vodka, about a quarter cup just to deglaze, kind of scrape any of the fond left behind from the sauce. Once the vodka is 95% cooked off, I'm going to go ahead and add in our tomatoes, about 128 ounce can of whole peeled tomatoes. I'm going to crush these open with a wooden spoon. I kind of feel like when you use the whole ones, you get a fresher flavor, although I could be wrong, but it feels better. Now after that, I added some basil, just a couple leaves of that in there, seasoned with a good heavy pinch of salt, and then I like to use an immersion blender to blitz the sauce together because I think that helps the cooking process by helping break things down earlier. Then we're going to cover this with a lid and let this simmer for about 30 minutes or so on quite of a low heat. All right, on to the pasta. Now, I think Carbone makes their pasta by hand, although I can't really confirm this, but their pasta is less of the traditional rigatoni that one might be familiar with. It's kind of like a shorter rigatoni that's wider, that's a little curved at the edge. So we found these nice dried ones called mezze rigatoni, whole pound of this in some heavily salted water, cook for about 8 minutes or so. So pretty short of the typical recommended 10 to 12 minutes because this is going to also cook and absorb a lot of that sauce later. All right, once our pasta is pretty much ready to go, we're gonna take our sauce, add our cream, which is about 1 cup of heavy cream or so, stir that in and kind of admire those beautiful ribbons of white turning into a nice pale pink, red, orange color. That's kind of my favorite part about adding a heavy cream to stuff. You get a nice 20 seconds of swirling things around before it goes away, and you get tempted to add more and more until the whole thing is cream. But you shouldn't do that. What you should do is just add some pasta water to thicken the sauce. Just enough, probably like a ladleful, a little bit, you don't want too much. And then into all this sauce, we're going to throw in our pasta. Kind of stir that around and let the pasta really absorb and cook in some of that sauce. That's why we cooked it a little bit less than usual. And once that's looking pretty good, we're going to add and finish with some butter. About 3 tablespoons or so to kind of give this a glossy finish because, well, it melts, it's fun to do, it tastes good, it looks shiny, and when you add butter to something, it always makes it better. I'm gonna go ahead and plate that up and sprinkle with a little bit of Pecorino Romano cheese just right on top. This will hopefully add a nice tang and a nice bit of saltiness to complement our pasta. So this is our fresh version where you make the sauce from scratch of the spicy rigatoni vodka pasta from Carbone. Let's go ahead and give this a taste. Oh yeah, this is really good. Having that strong tomato flavor get complemented by the chili with the nice cheese, it's a really good punch of flavor, and I think that's why people really like this dish. I think it honestly could use a little bit more cheese because I personally love it with a lot of cheese, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. The flavors are really fresh, the tomato and the chili and the cheese come through really strong in a very good way. Okay, so now we're gonna compare this to the jarred version that they sell. It's supposed to be designed to be really easy, where all you have to do, heat it up, add some cream, add some cooked pasta, and you're ready to go. So we are going to do exactly that. So upon pouring the sauce in and pouring our cream in, it's considerably thinner in both texture and in color than our previous sauce. This one tends to lean more on the pink side, maybe because it's a lot more fresh tomato heavy, because I think when you dilute red, you get more pink. So it's a difference in color, but not a bad thing at all. And then we're gonna cook the same Mezze rigatoni, a whole pound just as instructed like before. And once that's cooked for about 8 minutes until it's really al dente, we're gonna throw that in the sauce and let that continue cooking for about another minute or two until it is nice and absorbed in together. Same thing, gonna melt with a couple pats of butter, stir this together until the pasta is nicely glistened and looks really, really good. Garnish with a bit of Pecorino Romano cheese, and go ahead and give this a taste. So immediately the taste is already different. It's less on that strong fresh tomato side. It tastes a little saltier and more creamy than usual. I think this is really good for people that just want that creamy kind of sauce vibe. I think the benefit of having made our sauce from scratch versus having it in a jar is that we're able to kind of taste flavors that are really just fresh coming out of the gate. The sauce has, it's designed to be kept for a while, and maybe it's lost some of its initial punch, but hey, I don't knock them for that. It's still a pretty good sauce to have that's just ready to go. All you have to do is add some cream, but I'm pretty sure you could also add cream to other kinds of tomato sauces that are ready to go. Maybe add some chili in there and you might get a similar result. This was also a really fun day because there were a lot of people in the studio. So everybody was able to come in, eat not one, but two kinds of pasta and kind of, choose which one they liked more. So no matter which pasta they liked more, we still took both of them back to their rightful places, their stomachs. But we're not done yet. Now we have to actually go to Carbone to see how our version stacks up against the real deal and to see what kind of mistakes we might have made or kind of adjustments that we could do to make this more accurate in the future. Time for a field trip. So Tony and I made our way to Carbone with the goal of tasting and experiencing their spicy vodka rigatoni in person. After some very well made complimentary bread, fresh mozzarella and salami, the real deal was here. This is the famous Carbone spicy vodka rigatoni, which costs $34. I was most excited to try to see how it would compare with ours. Whoa, that is really good. So right off the bat, I noticed a couple of differences already. One, their pasta shape was a little bit smaller than ours and had a little bit of a curve to it. It was also really nice and chewy, and our table captain said it was made with only all-purpose flour and water, which is really cool. I'm guessing it had to be dried though, because there's no way a fresh pasta could be made like that and stand up to that. Now the sauce is the most interesting part to me. They're really heavy on the Calabrian chili, a very great big punch of vinegar or sourness, which is super nice and refreshing. Some really great flavored by what seems to be sauteed onions in here. To me, this is less of a tomato sauce and more of a chili onion cream sauce with a little bit of tomato flavor for the zing. After speaking with the table captain, he said that in fact the sauce starts with a base of onion soubise. After hearing some more inside information about how this is made and having tasted this in person, I'm a little curious. Maybe I'll make sure to go back to the studio and give this another attempt.
Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. From websites to online stores to domains to analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for you to build your online presence. All of my websites over the years have been with Squarespace, and I'm excited to share the new one, babi.sh. We were able to use Squarespace's website builder and custom integrations to create a site that provides a powerful cooking experience. If you want to try Squarespace for yourself, you can start your free trial today by visiting squarespace.com/babish to get 10% off your first purchase.